Okay, so today I'm going to show you how to use some of the basic features of Minitab. So whenever you sign into Minitab, this is the window that you're going to get. So you've got your menu bar up here at the top. On the left-hand column, you've got a navigator. This is where you'll navigate between different results that you do. In this middle area, you've got where it says Minitab. This is where your results will come out at and display. And then down here at the bottom is the data editor where you'll actually work with and interact with data. So the first thing that you do is once you do your first calculation, whatever it is, so let's say I'm just going to generate 50 random numbers and store it in C1. So the first time you do anything, it's going to ask you if you want to save your project. Now, I recommend that at this point you go ahead and save it. So I'm just going to call this sample project. And then I recommend saving to your Microsoft OneDrive. So since you're a Sandhill student, with your student email account, you also have access to Microsoft OneDrive, which will let you save files with your Sandhill's username and password. So because of that, I recommend saving it to the OneDrive and then click OK. So the first time you do this, it's going to have you sign in to your student email account. So just sign in with the same username and password that you use to get into your email. And then from there, it's just going to have you navigate to where you want to save it at. So you would save it and then choose where you want to save it and click Save. Now I'm going to continue without saving this one just because I'm using it as a sample. So once you have columns in here, so the default naming for the columns is C1, C2, C3, C4, and so on. You can also give this a name. So let's just say I want to call this first column sample data. So you can give it a name by just typing in the box right below C1. You can also name your worksheet. So let's say I just want to call this example 1, for example. You can add more than one worksheet by clicking the plus button, and then you can click in between them, do different calculations. And then from there, the process of launching everything is very similar regardless of what you're doing. So let's just say for now I wanted to do a one variable graph. And so I just tell it I want to do a graph. And so then once you have data in these columns, they come up as choices for your different inputs. So I can either type in C1 for my Y variable, or I could type in sample data, what I've called it, or I can just make sure I've got the text box highlighted and then just click select, and that'll go ahead and put it in for you as well. And with most of these, there are going to be other options that you can choose. So I'm not going to choose any options in this case. I'm just going to go with the default and then click OK. And so pretty much all of your outputs are going to work similarly. So they'll go in as an output, but then you can go in and you can copy the graph. So click the triangle beside your output. You can copy it, whatever the output may be, and paste it in a Word document, for example. So the majority of the time for me, that's going to be how you get your output into your Word file. You can also edit some of the options before you copy. So perhaps I wanted to change what my axes titles are, so I could change that. So instead of this being sample data, maybe I want to call this heights. I don't know, but maybe. Or I could change the title, or I could add a subtitle. So created by Mr. Williamson, for example. And so you can do all of that. And then scroll down, there's other options you can choose. You don't have to choose all of these options or change any of these options unless I specifically tell you to. And then close it. And it should update automatically. So here, notice, now it has heights down here on the x-axis. If I had another one, so let's say I wanted to get my descriptive statistics of this, and I'm just going to run with the default. Then notice now it adds that as an option under Navigator as well. So you can click between your different results. Once you've finished doing everything that you need to do, to save all of this in one nice neat file to upload to Moodle, so you'll always have to upload your Minitab file as well as your Word document for me. And so to upload the Minitab file, you would just go to File, Download a Copy, and that'll save it to your computer so that you can upload it to Moodle, usually in your Downloads folder. And from there you get a nice little single file that you can upload to Moodle that I'll then be able to go in and look at as well.